Well, tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day in the United States, but the celebrations at the White House began today with the passage of Trump's big, beautiful bill. That's what he actually called it, which sort of makes me chuckle. Trump and his old team did a full court press to get it through Congress. Obviously, most Democrats didn't like it, but so too did some Republicans, including some libertarians, and they've been out of sorts with Trump recently. They didn't like him bombing Iran. My view is that America had a very limited military action there, and peace through strength is different than peace through pacifism. But there's been, at least online, it looked like there was a lot of dissent. But at the end of the day, the bill passed. Now, I do want to study the objections of the libertarian wing of the party that was against this bill and, frankly, against any foreign entanglements as well. I think that was the objection to bombing Iran. But I think this vote is proof that Donald Trump is the boss of Washington, D.C., at least for now. Who knows what will happen in the midterm votes just a year and a half away. But for now, he can get a big bill passed. I mean, there's a lot of log rolling, as they call it, lots of deals in there. But I think it is a pretty MAGA bill. It reflects what he said in his inaugural address. So I want to take you through a few of the things that were in the bill that is now law. So there's reason to celebrate that the bill passed, but there were some new job stats for June that just came out. And we love talking about America because it's so interesting. We're right next to it. Donald Trump is a force of nature. What he does affects us in Canada. But I'd like you to, in your mind, compare how we are doing and our approach in Canada to that in the United States. For example, these June statistics. 830,000 new jobs for native-born Americans, as opposed to 348,000 jobs lost for foreign-born workers. And I think that's been a big push of Trump to get Americans back into the workforce by removing immigrants, including for reasons that they are ultra-low-cost competition for jobs, because many of them are off the books. They're undocumented, as the left says. And Trump is for Americans, not temporary foreign workers. So look at that stat again. Nearly 1 million new jobs for Native Americans, native-born Americans, and compared to a job loss for foreign-born. And in terms of full-time and part-time, the split is 437,000 new full-time jobs, and actually part-time jobs are being lost. The unemployment rate is what I meant to mention next. It's 4.1% in the United States. That is so low. That's down from 4.2% just a little bit. A lot of pundits expected it to go up. They thought, well, Donald Trump is going to punish the economy with his tariffs. The economy seems to be absolutely loving things. And one of the things that it's a trick in Canada, our job numbers look good artificially, not as good as America's, because the government just keeps on hiring. And those are typically full-time jobs, very highly paid jobs. In the United States, the number of people employed by the government fell by 275,000 in June, down about 500,000 since Biden lost. So the gains are for American citizens in the private sector, in full-time jobs. How's that not winning all over the place? Anyways, my point is that was some good news that the administration got today. Let me take you through some of the themes of the big, beautiful bill. And you know what? I don't want to pretend I'm an expert in this bill. In fact, I'd like to get some American commentators to help me unpack it. But again, some of it is really easy to understand. I don't think you need to be an expert to understand what tax cuts in the United States will do to Canada's business community and our competitiveness. I mean, we're already having a tough enough time because of tariffs, but what if they cut their taxes down there? In fact, that's one of the selling points of the big, beautiful bill. It makes the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent, lowers taxes for individuals and businesses, increases tax deduction for individuals and married couples, tax relief for small businesses and freelancers. One of the moves that Trump did, which I think stole some thunder from Democrats who like to portray themselves as standing up for the little guy, is Trump talked about no tax on tips. You know what I mean? So who earns tips? Well, I mean, obviously waiters, bartenders, people like that. No tax on tips. That is such a blue collar, entry level, pink collar campaign pledge, it sounds like something the Democrats would say. No, it's Trump's. He's also not having tax on overtime. Now, I don't know how you exactly police the no tax on tips, because now you're really encouraging. It used to be that workers, and I was a waiter back in the day when I was a teenager, you sort of hid what your tips were. Maybe there's a real incentive to maybe not disclose what you made in cash. How would the government know? Well, now the more money you make in tips, the more money you make tax free. So I don't know how it's going to be policed exactly, but in a way, I don't care. The point is the taxes are going down, and especially for, quote, the little people. I mean, it's one thing for the Democrats to say every billionaire is a policy failure. That's a phrase I heard that Democrat who's leading the polls for New York City mayor say. But no, Trump is a billionaire, but I think he's got more blue-collar sensibility than any Democrat around. You know, experts say a lot of things, but experts who crunch the math here, the Council of Economic Advisors, says his big, beautiful bill could mean more than $13,000 more in take-home pay for a family of four. Like, just stop and think about the size of that. By the way, that's in real US dollars. So that's pretty much like 20,000 Canadian dollars more take-home pay for a family of four. Like, where is that for us? It's not even a dream for us. It's not even a possibility. We all know that everything's going the opposite direction in Canada. It's going to be more taxes, not less. I mean, it's hard to even imagine a Canada where a family of four would get a $20,000 tax cut, and I say that in Canadian dollars. He's got special help for small business in there about expensing. I'm not an expert in accounting, but he's trying to really juice private industry, as opposed to the Democrats and the liberals in this country who love government, quote, investments. I hate that, and every politician in Canada does it. When they spend money, they call it an investment. Here's Trump cutting taxes to let the private sector actually make investments. So that's the money side. And I say that because the U.S. economy is about to really have its golden age again. And I know that sounds a little bit jingoistic, but oh my God, it is absolutely going to. In fact, it's already showing strength that exceeds expectations. And with this bill being passed, how could it not? And again, who are our chief competitors? Who is our market? It is a sad thing that they are our chief competitor, and they're going to clean our clock. I mean, the brain drain. Talk about the brain drain. If you are a young entrepreneur in Canada, why? If you want to open a factory, which side of the border are you going to put that factory on? Put aside the tariffs alone, just the taxes. Speaking of borders, I think that's the biggest part of this bill in terms of impact and importance. I like to follow a young guy named Stephen Miller. He's not a young guy, he's about my age. He's a deputy chief of staff. He is so hardline. He's interested in a lot of issues, but immigration is by far his most passionate issue. And he has taken to Twitter in recent days saying that passing this bill was of civilizational importance, as in if we don't do this now, it'll never be done. There's estimates vary, but I've heard the number 13 million illegal migrants just walked across that southern border, and some from our northern border too, into America during Joe Biden's disaster term. And that was on purpose, of course. There was no physical reason why Biden couldn't keep them out. Trump didn't need new laws or new budgets to do what he did in his first week. But I tell you one thing, this big, beautiful bill is so enormous, and its almost obsessive focus is on immigration, which, when you think about it, has been the core Trump promise in 2016, 2020, and 2024. The Customs and Border Protection Service, CBP, that's what they call their border guards, in their last year's budget was $17 billion, which is pretty big. And ICE had a budget of around $9 billion. This new big, beautiful bill quadruples the border police budget and triples ICE's enforcement budget. All told, the global budget for the border, for detention, for deportation is about $150 billion, which is more, I think, than any military in the world other than the United States own military. I think that's more than any other country in the world spends on their real army. I'd have to check to be certain of that. But In a way, that's what it is. America was invaded. That's what you call it when foreign nationals illegally cross the border. That is, and some of them were not, quote, hostile, but they're illegally. And in this bill, Trump fights back with a staggering amount of resources, hiring 10,000 new ICE agents. ICE is the immigration, I forget exactly what it stands for, Immigration Control and Enforcement or something. Those are the folks who basically arrest illegals and deport them. It's doubling the current 6,000 deportation officers. There's going to be 3,000 more Border Patrol agents, along 5,000 more CBP officers. I don't even know the difference in all these different officers. They're building an army, and they are aiming to have 3,000 deportations a day, which is 1 million a year, which, if you do the math, you realize that is not even close to what Biden let in. Even if Trump keeps up that 1 million a year number, he'll have 4 million done by the end of his term. There's still more than that who came in, but this will set things in motion in the right direction, and I can hardly wait to see the knock-on effects it has. I mean, I saw a news story the other day. There was a meat packing plant, and it was raided by ICE because so many of the workers of the meat packing plant were there illegally. And I saw in the news story, what do we do now? So, like, how do we staff the place? Hey, I got an idea way at the back here. How about hire Americans? And the meatpacking business in Alberta, in southeastern Alberta, is overwhelmingly foreign migrants. So I don't think they're illegal in Canada. They may be temporary foreign workers. I got an idea. How about hiring Canadians? And if you're going to pay an extra $5 an hour, suck it up. And maybe charge an extra 50 cents a hot dog or something. But you're a Canadian, you have a duty to hire Canadians. And, I think you're going to see American teenagers get summer jobs again. I think you're going to see Americans in service jobs again. Is it really necessary to have millions of foreign migrants in your country just to operate Ubers and DoorDash and takeaway services like that? Like, how about hire Americans, and how about we hire Canadians?